Welcome to Grounds for Conversations. I'm Amber Noble. It's difficult to find common ground when we focus on things we disagree about. But if we take a step back, we realize that we all have things to learn. Grounds for Conversations is a podcast where we dive into a conversation about Scripture, looking at the story in its entirety. This is for the believer, the questioner, the invested, and the searching. I invite you to join the conversation. Also, at the end of this podcast, stick around for an extra shot, a conversation where we discuss everything about nothing. Hello, my name is Amber Noble. Welcome to another episode of Grounds for Conversations. Again, I have my friend joining me, Charles Browder. Charles, we're glad you're here. And listen, y'all, if you've not heard or listened to any of the other episodes we've done together, I encourage you to go check it out. Charles, welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
I'm a little sad. It's my last one.
I know. Well, for now, maybe you'll get back down to Houston sometime. And
that's true. I have enjoyed myself this time.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad. All right. So today we are going to talk about story of the Good Samaritan.
Oh man, Amber, isn't that so tired? Have you heard that a lot? What are we going to talk about?
I think we're going to talk about the misunderstood elements of the Good Samaritan.
Boom. Fresh, hot take. Love it.
Okay.
Tune in.
So why don't you tell us where this story starts? Where are we at?
A lot of people, the story of the Good Samaritan starts in Luke 10:30, but I think there's a little
backstory
in the couple of verses before it.
Isn't that always the case?
Yes.
Go figure.
It's almost like you should read whole passages instead of
almost like you should read the Bible. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You should read the Bible.
Right. Okay. So hit us up where we're supposed to start. Luke chapter 10, starting, let's say verse 25?
Yeah, I would say back up to 25 and kind of get some context for who's asking the questions, who's answering the questions.
And who does it apply to?
And who does it apply to?
All right, hit us up. Start with 25.
25. And a lawyer, stood up and put him to the test, saying, "Teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?" And he said to him, "What is written in the law? How does it read to you?" And he answered, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." And he said to him, "You have answered correctly. Do this and you will live." But wishing to justify himself, he said to Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?"
Okay, pause there.
Mm-hmm.
When it's talking about what does it say in the law, it's referring to Mosaic law. So this is obviously religious leaders in that day and time. Everything was based off Mosaic law.
Yes. And that's who the lawyer is. He's somebody who's well versed in the law.
Right.
Probably knows the answer that he's asking.
Right.
To the question he's asking.
Right. Like a parent, when they're trying to get their kids to understand, okay, what are you supposed to do? Yes. Knowing what the answer is, they're asking the question to get the kid to understand and to explain, not because they're confused.
Yes.
And that's what we have going on here. This guy is trying to educate Jesus and trap him.
Yes. Maybe a little ill intent here.
Absolutely.
Like anytime you ask a question and you know the answer, there's another motivation behind it.
Yes. And then the motivation isn't always to trap somebody, but that is the case here. Okay. So move on. Verse 30. Go ahead.
Yeah. So then we start the story.
Jesus' reply.
Right. The Good Samaritan story that most people start reading or quote or have on a poster on their wall. Whatever.
I don't know anybody that has the Good Samaritan story on a poster.
If they have footprints in the sand, they're going to have the Good Samaritan.
Footprints in the sand is not a scripture.
I know, but I'm saying if they have non-scripture, these little footprints in the sand, they're going to have the good. Somebody has a Good Samaritan.
I know that this is not the time or place, but we're going to make it that. Where's the most common place for people to hang the footprints of the sand?
Either in a Christian dentist's office or in their foyer.
Oh, I always saw them in people's bathrooms.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
I guess while you're going to the bathroom, you need to know that somebody's there to carry you.
Yes. It was I who carried you.
All right. Hit us up
through this dry spell.
Verse 30.
Jesus replied and said, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among robbers, And they stripped him and beat him and went away, leaving him half dead. And by chance, a priest was going down on that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Likewise, a Levite also, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan who was on the journey came upon him, and when he saw him, he felt compassion, and came to him and bandaged him up his wounds, pouring oil and wine on them. And then he put him on his own beast and brought...
Donkey.
Huh?
It was a donkey.
Mine says beast, and I'm going to go with Greek translation. I'm just kidding. Brought him to an inn and took care of him. On the next day, he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper and said, "Take care of him, and whatever more you spend, when I return, I will repay you." Which of these 3 do you think proved to be a neighbor to the man who fell into the robber's hands? And he said, "The one who showed mercy towards him." Then Jesus said to him, "Go and do the same."
All right. So, fun fact, the 2 denarii was equivalent to basically 2 days of wages.
2 days?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 2 full days. A denarii was equivalent to a laborer's full day of wages.
Wow.
So that's, I mean, you think that isn't like a $10 bill. This is not chump change. This took some effort, right? So this is something that was meant to make an impact.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've already discussed, we've got the lawyer that is trying to trap. He's got ill intent. He's got a motivation here. What I love about Jesus and these parables, can I just say that he speaks in a language in which people understand.
Yeah.
And even though the parables don't really, like, the verbiage of the parables aren't necessarily something we fully understand because, like, we're not in this moment, right?
Yes.
I love that the person of Jesus, the nature of Jesus when he walked the earth was to simplify truth. And side note, I think it's important that we understand that we don't have to be, even though the love of God, the person of God is so complex, he is all about simplifying for people to understand.
Right.
I love that. I think that is something that we need to be more okay with.
Yeah.
Okay, so he begins this parable.
Yes.
Okay, what do you think?
Well, first of all, keep in mind, it's a parable. It's a story. It's something Jesus is using as an example.
It didn't really happen.
Didn't really happen. He's using a story. He goes right into a story.
Right.
There was a man. Nobody's named. Nobody's named. Nobody's anything. It's just, there was a man. Here's what happened to him.
Right.
And he uses a real place that was known. He says from Jerusalem to Jericho, which is a long, steep, winding road.
Right.
That is known for at that time was known for robbers. Like a lot of robbers, it's like winding road and then drop off and then rocks and stuff. Plenty of places for robbers to hide. It was very well known. You don't travel it by yourself.
Also understanding that Samaritans would be there.
Also understanding Samaritans.
And Samaritans' reputation. What do you know about that?
Why don't you tell me, Amber? Well, I know what I think about them.
No, well, go ahead.
No, I was kidding. I know what I think about Samaritans, but I want to hear what you think.
I'm in a study group.
Because they were trash. No, they were basically the traders, basically looked down upon since the days of when the 12 tribes were made into 12 tribes, Judah, all the way down. Samaritans mixed and mingled with outsiders, basically, and kind of diluted, and in the Israelites' lives, diluted their lineage.
Sure.
And stuff. So Samaritans were like half-breeds, kind of looked down upon.
Which
enemies.
is an awful phrase to say, but that's exactly what they were.
No, I mean, like, that's what they called them. I'm not calling them that.
Right.
Half-breed is a horrible term, but I'm saying, like, that's what they would say.
Right.
You're a half-breed.
They weren't as holy. They were unclean.
Unclean. Enemies, almost. Yeah. Frenemies, enemies. I don't know what you'd say.
They were the trash of that day and time. And so it was very common for, if you saw a Samaritan, you could assume that no matter what their age were.
Yeah.
That they were the harlots, the thieves, the traitors, the weak, the uneducated, it's like, of course.
Yes.
That's the trash.
So it's very important, and when starting out this story, to realize, hey, here's what the guy that actually helps, here's what he's doing, and not the implications of his actions, not the explanations for why the Levite and the priest didn't do anything.
Right.
I've seen a lot of preachers be like, well, the priest was, he would have had to, he would have been unclean at that point if he'd helped that guy. And then he would have had to go back to the temple that day, and he wouldn't be able to enter the temple grounds. Same thing with the Levite, which is basically like a scrub.
In other words, it's a whole bunch of explanation and justification for why people didn't do the right thing.
Right. Exactly. So don't worry about that. Focus on what actually happened in the story.
Right.
This man clothed him.
Right.
How would you clothe him? Because, most people, on a beast, or the people traveling at this time, they had a few things for food for where they were going. They carried stuff in a sack. But if he's clothing this guy, he's probably ripping up his own clothing to make cloth and bandaging these wounds. Well,
and he's using oil, which was a expensive commodity.
Oil and wine.
Two expensive commodities.
Used for disinfecting.
It was also used for cooking, and it was celebratory.
That's what you carried with it to cook. Yeah, oil and wine.
And so there you've got so many different components here.
Yes.
And the reality was, chances are, as he's starting the story talking about these people, the automatic assumption is that the priest or the Levite would do something.
Yes.
And
he throws the Samaritan in the mix.
He does.
Of these two people that you expect, like, okay, like Jesus is Jewish. He's telling the story.
Right.
And the assumption from the lawyer is that he's going to say, be like the good Jew in the story.
Right.
Be like the good Israelite in the story.
Right.
And that's not what happens.
Right.
And even backing up further into the passages we read before, when he's saying your neighbor is yourself, well, your neighbor was your people. In the Hebrew text, your neighbor meant your people.
Right.
So a Samaritan, by definition, was not your neighbor.
Was not your people. And the crazy thing is that this person walking along, this Jew walking along, that was beaten down, broken, unclean by what maybe the priest would see because of the blood, whatever, that person could very easily look at the Samaritan helping him and think that the Samaritan's more unclean than he is.
Right.
Because it's just this whole concept of culture, right? Like, well, you're not with me. You're not my kind of people. But he says, go ahead.
And it wasn't just hey, we punched this guy, knocked him on his butt, and they stripped him, beat him. It says left him half dead. Right. So this guy without care, he will die.
Right.
Like, so it's not, the implication here is that they had an obligation to save this man's life.
Right.
It's not like, oh, okay, well, he'll shake it off in a few hours and get up, and then he'll make his way back to wherever he's going. Right. And be fine. The implication is he's half dead without care. Right. He's a goner.
Yes. Without somebody doing something.
Yeah.
So let's start with the priest.
Yeah.
He sees the man lying there, and he crossed the other side of the road and passed him by.
Right.
He went the opposite.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm not only going to pass this guy by, I'm going to do so far enough away.
Yeah.
Where I can't touch him and he can't touch
Which the
me.
Greek in that is literally opposite far side. And so he went as far away from as physically possible.
Right. Exactly.
Not
so
just stepped over.
He couldn't touch him, but and that's what I think is important that we get. Yeah. But that brokenness could not touch him back.
Yeah.
And I think that you look at that, how that applies in our world today.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to have the responsibility. And I say we, meaning it is human nature.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to risk that trying to deal with me.
Yeah.
Like, stay in your lane. I don't want the pain. I don't want the responsibility. Like, and we say this. Somebody should do something.
Yeah.
How we are all so guilty.
Yeah.
Like, wow, there's a need. Wow, look at what's happening. Wow, somebody should do something.
Yeah.
And yet we cross the road to the other side, hoping that somebody comes along to do it.
Right. I think my girlfriend used to get a little bit embarrassed, or, certain people get embarrassed, and I'll just stare at the people when I may not financially be able to give to every person on the side of the road. That's not feasible. I couldn't, you know what I mean? Like I couldn't do that, but sometimes I used to get embarrassed when I would wave and like smile at the people, not to come over, but just friendly. Cause I think a long time ago, I watched some interview or something where the guy was like, yeah, it just hurts that nobody will make eye contact with me. I don't care if they give me money, but people don't even look at you. Like you don't feel human.
Right.
And I'm like, now I was like, that got me. Like, It's like, I need to change my behavior, even though I may not be able to give $20 to a guy every time, you know what I mean? Like, or something like that. I'm going to wave and smile and say, hey, I see you.
Right.
And I think that was embarrassing until I explained it. And now we both did, like we all do it. And I try to spread that, not to pat me on the back, but to say like,
but to be a reminder as Christians,
a reminder like, hey, these people, anyone can feel unseen. You know? And so it's important to, even if you can't physically help, or, sometimes what you can do with what you have is the world to somebody else.
Right.
So,
So like the story in Genesis chapter 16, when, Sarah
yes,
can't have a baby.
Yes.
And so she gives her maidservant Hagar over to her husband. And then Hagar leaves defeated, upset. The story goes on, and she calls him the God that sees me.
Yeah.
Right. And to know that, or El Roy, the God that sees me, we're supposed to be the hands and feet of Jesus.
Yeah.
And if it's so important to God that we understand that he is the God that sees us. He sees us where we're at. He sees us in our brokenness. He sees us in our hurt. Even when we're not following him, even when we have not picked him, he's picked us. He sees us. If that is the case, I mean, Hagar was not Hebrew.
Nope.
And she actually gave birth to a young man that became the father of Islam, right?
Yeah.
So, but God, it was so important for us to understand that God, she was seen by God.
Yeah.
How dare we think that we can close our eyes?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No matter what is going on. Like I heard somebody say one time, we were at a conference, for basically like for inner city missions. Right. And I couldn't tell you who was talking. And I've got an attention span of like Pickles your dog. Like it's short. Your little pug.
Squirrel.
Yeah, exactly. So I was kind of conferenced out. But whoever was talking got my attention because he said, we have a habit of every Sunday passing people in need to get to a church that represents the very thing we passed.
Yeah.
And we bypass exactly what God's called us to go be in a building to reach people that we just passed up, basically.
Yeah.
And like that kind of wrecked me a little bit because I'm like, I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
Not anti the church, but man, the church is more than the four walls that we're setting in. Like, what does that mean? What does that look like for us? And Jesus is saying, let me speak it in your language. Let me say it in a way that you understand.
Right.
Just Old Testament, the God that sees Hagar, El Roy. This is the guy that's supposed to represent that God. Remember, this is the God of the Old Testament. It's Mosaic law, right?
Yeah.
And so you've got this priest, that comes along who should know that about God,
Yeah.
and he walks to the other side.
Yeah.
I don't want to see this. I can't be bothered. Not my problem.
But he has.
Somebody should do something about it.
Yeah.
But he has what?
I said he doesn't have just the priest, the top, the people that are going to enter the temple and do the sacrifice and stuff. He also has the Levite.
Yeah, that's the next one. We haven't even got to him.
Yeah, which is like the person that basically scrubs the toilets at the temple. You know what I mean? Like, you have like the lower level Levite.
But he still represents, I think it represents just a religion.
Right. Like, but the scale from like, oh, well, that guy couldn't do it.
Don't have the pastor do it. Get somebody else to do it. Right. Yeah.
It'd be like that. It'd be like that guy couldn't have done it.
Right.
He was the priest. He had responsibilities, that the lawyer may have said.
Right.
But like back down, like the next person is like, all right, this is like
the lowest man on the totem. Children's pastor.
Just
thanks.
kidding.
Yeah. Lowest man on the totem pole right there. Right.
Yeah.
Like, and yet religion got in the way.
Yep.
I mean, that's like, you may not like it. You may not like that, but that is the facts right here.
A representation of what that lawyer probably, the life that he's in,
right,
or trying to attain or something.
This is the Good Samaritan story is the perfect picture of what happens when religion gets in the way of a mandate from God.
Yep. Absolutely.
Period. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
And so the Levite doesn't do anything about it.
Nope.
Don't you wonder what that lawyer was thinking? He's like, oh, that's right. We don't do that kind of stuff.
Dang it. I should have known when he answered my question with a question.
Yeah. Oh. And then.
Which he does a lot.
Right. Right. Then verse 33, the way it starts, it says, then a despised Samaritan came along. Like it gives him an adjective that it explains this dude is not liked.
Right.
He's despised.
Yep.
Comes along, and when he saw the man, he felt compassion for him. Now, can you imagine? Can you imagine being in that Samaritan's shoes?
Yeah. And
seeing this man and knowing within yourself, I shouldn't have to help.
Yeah.
They hate me.
Yeah.
I know I'm not the only joker that's come down this road. Obviously, nobody else has helped him. They hate me. I'm despised. I know how they feel about me. And you know what's funny is we sometimes find that we don't do the right thing because we feel justified in the fact that the right thing hasn't been done to us.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And so he's looking at this situation and more than likely that thought popped in his head. These people don't even like me.
Right.
These people aren't even for it. They are against me. I'm this and they're that.
Yeah.
And it says that he had compassion. Where does that compassion come from? It comes from God. Now we know, again, this is a story. This is not a real life thing. Jesus is using this as an example.
Yeah.
But compassion hits. I wonder in that moment, if this was a real story, I wonder in that moment when that Samaritan and the man fighting for his life, when they made eye contact, what they had to have both been thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because that's I think that's the other side of the coin, right? Is this guy asking the lawyer asking the question and saying, him put yourself in that beaten up man's position.
Right.
What if your only hope was an act of free grace from an enemy that owed you nothing?
Wow.
What if you had to depend on that?
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm asking.
What if the people that you thought would step up didn't step up?
Yeah.
Would you accept help from the least likely to help you?
Right. Yeah. An enemy. And he owes you nothing. He actually probably the opposite. He hopes that you die.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
he's like, shoot, somebody beat me to it.
Yeah. So what you have in one parable, in one story, you have the taking down of the establishment. You know what I mean? Like the put this lawyer on his heels and say, yeah, I'm answering your question.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not it's not, like I said, be like the good Jew that came into the story.
Yeah.
Then the other side is you have an example. You're introduced to this new concept of radical grace.
Right.
That comes from the most unlikely of places.
Right.
And so like this.
And it's all so stinking uncomfortable, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, have you ever thought about that before? Like the grace of God and the mercy of God isn't rainbows and butterflies. It's usually because it's in a situation when you need it. So when you need it, you're not comfortable.
Yeah.
When you need God's mercy, when you need his grace, it's because something in your life is a mess.
Yeah.
And so in that moment, it's not a made for Hallmark TV movie, right?
Yeah.
It's incredibly uncomfortable.
Right.
And I think that Jesus is trying to get him to see like the need for compassion, the need for help doesn't come without discomfort.
Right.
I mean, do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it's almost never just it's not easy. First of all, it's not easy for most people to accept help.
Right.
In most situations. And that, I think in that situation, it might be easier to accept help because you're like, I'm going to die,
Right.
But like,
I'm naked, I'm bleeding, I'm scared.
I'm half dead.
Right.
And so, but like you said, it's never sunshine or rainbows and butterflies. And you're in the situation you're in.
Right.
And you have the choice to accept that grace.
Right.
No matter what. So,
yeah.
Although butterflies have been born again, so we could consider that.
Bingo. Okay.
Baptized.
So he comes in, he steps in, he does this. He puts the man on his donkey and he takes him to the hotel and they care for him. And the next day let's not dismiss that part. He didn't drop him off and leave. Right. He stayed through the first most crucial hours.
Yeah.
When there's been an accident, then there's been an automobile accident or whatever, it's the first 24 hours that are the most crucial.
Yeah.
Like, don't overlook that part. Yeah. He stayed until the next day.
Yeah.
He took care of him till the next day. So it wasn't like, hey, I did my part, I'm going to bounce. Hey, innkeeper, here's some money, take care of him. He stayed until he knew he was stable.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful because yes, you can say, well, but yeah, this is just a story. Okay, well, yeah, it's just a story, but it's a story for us to learn that God's calling us to step in and be his hands and feet and to make sure that there's stability before we move on.
Yeah. And the word there for the inn is the Greek word is for like an all encompassing place, what we would consider a hostel. So it's like probably a place.
Motel 6.
Well,
just
like,
kidding.
I was thinking more of like where criminals, like bandits, maybe the people that robbed them could be, you know what I mean? Like he's using the word. It's like, it's not a great place. He's not putting him up in the Hilton. He's taking him to the first place that can do it. And he's staying there with him.
Think about this for a second. Wherever they're traveling, the inn is on that road. So whatever's traveling on that road is going to be what stays in the inn, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and he's taking him to the first place. He's like, so it's a place for all. You have Jews, Gentiles, whoever staying in this place.
Right.
Bandits, what criminal.
So he's putting himself.
It's not a great place.
Right.
He's taking himself somewhere that can best. Jesus is using these words to describe this.
Yeah.
Like, hey, he's taking him to this place, to a place.
To get him help. Yeah. And he's staying despite what else is staying around him.
Giving him 2 days wages, which would probably.
But really it was 3 days there.
Yeah. Giving him 2 days. Well, no, 2 days wages would equal a long time.
Right. But I'm saying like you're right. Yeah. But the day before he was there the whole day.
Yeah.
He was there and just present.
Yeah. He's telling me.
I think I could probably camp on that one for a while.
Yeah.
Only because, and I'm not going to like beat a dead horse, but the idea that
a beast.
It's a beast. We don't even know. Yeah. It was like a dragon. Just kidding. The idea that, I'm not the best at this. I hate that, but I can do my part about doing a little bit and then checking out and hoping somebody else taps in.
Yeah.
And that's not the example that Jesus used in the story.
Mm-mm.
He stayed through the crucial hours.
Yep.
And like, why do we tap out? Like, is it because we're uncomfortable? Is it, and see, there's a lot of people that are real good about writing a check,
Mm-hmm.
but not being present in the need for presence,
He
right?
did both. Yeah,
right.
in the story.
He did both.
As an example.
And I think it's important that we understand that you may not have the money to do the second half, but the first half is crucial.
Yes.
The first half is the most important.
Right.
And it was important enough that Jesus made it clear.
Yeah.
Like he was there. And then when he had to go on, he said, here's enough money to take care of him until I get back. Trusting that it was going to be done.
Yeah.
You know?
And this is why I love, I have to look this stuff up constantly and study it, but this is why I love going back to the Greek and seeing like, what does this mean? What does this word mean or whatever? And so when it says he took compassion on him, the word, we translate that the best as we can. It's the word is splagma, which is a awful sounding word. Splagma. And so we translate that as compassion, but in the Greek, it translates into pity from your deepest soul.
There you go.
So in this description of what we are to physically do, Jesus is always dealing with matters of the heart as well.
Yeah.
And said inside this man, he had pity in the deepest parts of his soul for this guy that considers him an enemy.
Right.
So having that, he just didn't want to give an example of the action. He wanted to give an example. He wants us to love others as he loves them. You know what I mean? He wants us to have that pity in the deepest part of our soul, compassion in the deepest part of our soul for the most needful, the most downtrodden, the people that need help.
Right. Notice that the Good Samaritan story was not about conversion.
Yeah.
It wasn't about, look, I'm going to help you, but I got to make sure that you change your beliefs and your lifestyle. That was never brought up.
Yeah.
It was just about helping a need.
Grace.
Upon grace.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. Here's my stuff that he's kind of said in other parts of the New Testament. If somebody needs clothes, clothe them. If they need food, food them. He's like, this guy is probably ripping his clothes, bandaging him, oil, wine, taking care of him, going the extra mile, getting him there, paying, and then saying, hey, I got to leave, but when I come back, here's not even this, but here's future promise to take care of him as well.
Right.
So came out of nowhere.
And so then Jesus turns back after telling his story to this lawyer, and it's like, okay, so which one showed the most mercy?
Yeah. Who was the neighbor?
Who was the neighbor?
Who is the neighbor? Who in your like, who is the person? Who's his people?
Right.
Basically.
And he said, the one who showed mercy.
Yeah.
The one who did the right thing.
And just like, go and do it. Mic drop.
Yeah, mic drop. Greatest mic drop moment ever. And like, okay, so what? We can read that and we're like, yeah. But in 2023, there's a lot of people that can come up with a lot of excuses on why we're not doing the right thing. And we are real quick to die on the hill of our political party and die on the hill of our social economic status, die on the hill of whatever. And yet none of those things are what Jesus is telling us to focus on.
Yeah.
That this is about recognizing that we get one shot at this life.
Mm-hmm.
We get this moment to represent. And as long as we've got air in our lungs and blood pumping through our veins, We have a purpose here. And our purpose is not to push political agenda. Our purpose is to push Jesus Christ, to represent and point everyone back to who he is.
And what is most of politics about anyway? It's about our laws. Change can't come from following the law. Change comes from following Jesus.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so
who fulfilled the law.
So,
Right. There's just, have you ever been around people that
yes.
People.
It's awful.
They're
just kidding. I love people.
But you've been around people that it's like they find the good in everybody.
Yes.
They're not like, I'm not talking about they're like touched and you're like, oh, there's no reality there. I'm talking about they just can find the good in every situation.
They dig. They somehow dig and they find something about somebody that is a genuine plus.
Right. Right.
And it could be, and I have some people like that in my life that I'm just like, and they'll find the grumpiest, whatever person, grumpiest, Eeyore person in
Eeyore.
And then compliment them on something.
Right.
Like, hey, you have he can be more superficial. Like, hey, you have a great sense of style or something like that. They'll find something and it'll be a genuine comment. And they're genuinely impressed and want that person to feel good about that quality. And it's just, I bet, yeah, those people are nuts.
Don't you think most of those people, anybody I've ever met like that, those people, they just are such fantastic representation of the love of God.
Yeah.
We just have to get a look at a story like this and recognize that honestly, we can't call ourselves followers of Jesus and walk to the other side of the road.
Yeah.
We can't.
No.
Not anymore. I think we've been doing that far too long. And we've used the excuse, they're this, they're that. They brought it on themselves. They never listened. They're illegal. Mm-hmm. They're doing bad things. That we have all this list of excuses on justification for moving to the other side of the road.
Yeah.
And Jesus said, guess what? Your lists don't matter.
Yeah.
Your lists don't count, because this story that I'm about to tell you blows all those lists up and just says, hey, do the right thing.
Yeah.
Do the right thing and don't act like because you represent God. By representing me, you stay on the right side of the road.
Right.
Representing me, you give what you can. Right. You stay present. You wait until the critical hours have passed.
Right.
You make sure that
you take that radical grace and you cross the road and you apply it.
Right.
Just as that man was half dead, you are dead in your sins. And
right.
I sent Jesus to cross the road and show radical grace to you.
Absolutely. Wow.
And you were saved.
And go and do the same.
That I just did for you. Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
It's powerful. So what does that look like for us? It looks like this. Get outside of yourself and do it until he comes back. Period. Get outside of the comfort of I say this from somebody who's in full-time ministry. Stop expecting somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
Stop looking, going, wow, somebody should do something about that.
Yeah.
Don't we have a department in our church that handles that stuff?
Yeah.
Isn't there somebody who signed up because that's what their calling is? No, man, do something. Do something.
We got a Samaritan department.
Like, for real. Like, I mean, I think it's awesome that churches have care departments, but the church itself is a care department.
Yeah.
Stop transferring everything over to somebody else. Do what you can. But then on the flip side, stop waiting to bring the people in need to the church. Be the church.
Yeah.
Don't go, wow, I'm sorry you're hurting. Next Sunday, I'd like to take you with me to church. No, it's Monday. That's a week from now. Do something now. Do something with what you have.
Right. My baby's running around without diapers. All right. Would you like to come to church next Sunday?
We're really hungry. Well, they serve donuts.
Yeah. We have donuts in the foyer on Sunday.
In the foyer?
Oh, wait. No. Next week, Brother Carl's going to be there. we're going to have dinner afterwards.
Dinner on the grounds.
Dinner on the grounds for conversation.
Such a good topic.
Yeah.
It's a hard discussion.
It is.
Because I think
because it applies to all of us.
Yeah, and it applies uncomfortably.
Mm-hmm.
That's not comfortable.
No.
Because let's be honest, how many times have you crossed the road and been like, I don't have time for this?
More times.
Maybe not you. I've done it a bunch.
Yeah.
And in the name of Jesus.
Yeah.
I've got more important things to do. I'm busy.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the world. God has called me to do. Man, he called you to that.
Mm-hmm.
He called you to what's right in front of you.
Yeah.
Like, I feel super convicted.
Yeah.
About this, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that there's been times that I've used the excuse, well, I'm a woman, or I'm this, or I'm that. Like, we've got to stop making excuses.
Yeah.
And we've got to we've got to give not just of ourselves, but of our time, our talent, our money. What we got to give, we got to take care of business.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll sometimes say, I'm not a woman. I'm not doing that. You know?
You. Good answer.
Just
Good
kidding.
answer. That ain't my job. Get in there and make me a pie, woman.
Look at all them feet washing. Pat, that's all women's hair. I ain't doing that. I got short hair.
You're so weird.
I know.
I love it. I love it. Oh, good talk. Good talk.
Yes. Good grounds for
good
conversation.
Grounds for conversation.
I'm sad this is the last one.
Well, it's not it's the last one for right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, we don't say goodbye. We say see you until next time.
That's right. That's good. Thank you guys for joining us for this Grounds for Conversation. Don't forget to stick around for the extra shot. I'm Amber Noble, and you have been listening to Grounds for Conversations. To ensure you don't miss our next podcast, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. Don't forget to hang around for an extra shot. Welcome back to our extra shot. Once again, my friend Charles Browder. Charles, thank you for joining us for the most important part of the discussion.
Mm-hmm. We talked about the Good Samaritan, but I barely even remember what we were talking about. I was waiting to get to this extra shot.
Stop. Okay, what we're going to talk about. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Lean into your mic. Let's have a discussion.
I'm as close as I can get to it.
Without eating your microphone.
Yes.
Okay.
Microphone.
Text or call?
Ooh.
Are you a text or call person? Let's start that.
I'm a text person. Obviously, I can't like text my mom. She's 80 years old, and she's like, she'll never see it until like 3 days later, and she'll be like, what's that? What do I put in this pie besides condensed milk? And it'll be like 4 days later. She'll be like, lemon juice. You know, I'm like, oh, thanks. I've starved by then.
My grandma is in her 90s.
Mm-hmm.
She's a texting queen.
Is she really?
Yes.
My mom has problems with technology.
Well,
I accidentally declined when I first synced up. I pay for her iPad because she didn't know how to set that up. And I send, like, I'll decline my call. I'll decline FaceTime sometimes if I'm in something. Well, since I started paying for that, it's on my same plan as my phone. So it's the same account, iCloud account. So it sends it to the iPad. Well, the first few times I did that, she didn't know what was happening. So my buddy Nick FaceTimed me and I declined it. Well, it went to her. So then I get these panic calls. She called me like 8 times in a row. Charles, someone's hacking into my iPad. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, they're here. They got curly hair. I can see them. I was like, well, you can see them. They're hacking into your iPad. What are you talking? I was like, yeah. I was like, what?
I can see it. It wasn't me, right?
No, it wasn't. It was my buddy Nick who has curly hair. And she's like, they're hacking. I can see them. I was like, Mom, if someone was hacking in your iPad, you wouldn't be able to see them. It doesn't work like that. It's not war games from 2000, you know, and I'm just like, what is going on? So she's like, I can see him. And it's like, and so my buddy Nick says that he didn't know what was happening either. And he just sees my mom he's met her since, and he loves her. And so, but at the time he had met her, and he said he just sees my mom, go like that, and then just toss the iPad on the bed, and every once in a while, like peek over it, like one of those camera shots from the ground, just like peek in the frame, like, yeah, you could hear her talking to me, and he can't stop laughing at that point. He's like, yeah, I can see him, yeah, and just hears her like lean and like talking to me. I was like, Mom, hang up. And he's like texting me like, it's me. I was trying to FaceTime you. I don't know what happened. I went to your mom, and I was like, oh, we have the same account now.
Yeah.
I was like, so that's why I cannot.
That's the sweetest thing
I cannot
I've ever
text.
heard.
No, it is sweet, and until those stories start to pile up, and she accidentally spent $400 on Candy Crush once, and I pay for a bill.
Stop.
Yes, Apple thought it was a child. They're like, we have a fund, like we'll do a one-time forgiveness for like this happening with a child, but you have to put locks on it. I was like, what about a 74-year-old? Because she's like buying Candy Crush lives she just kept putting, she's like, I was wondering why it's having me put your password in every couple times. Like, yeah, because you're spending real money. You're spending $5 a pop. And I got my monthly bill, and I was like, what the heck? Something happened.
Did they forgive it?
They did partial of it. And they're like, put a lock. I was like, no, there'll be no lock. I just telling her never play that game again. There's tons of other match games.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Okay. So you're a text person.
I am a text person most of the time.
Okay. Now I am a text person. Do you know that my ringer on my phone hasn't been on since, except for emergency purposes, hasn't probably been on since like 2010.
I feel like that is common these days. Like people just silence the way to go. I think it's almost like silencing your phone is pretty much like etiquette now. You know what I mean? Like very rarely do I hear people's phone. Now you're living in a different part of the country than me, but most of the time I don't hear it. Like it's people's pet peeves.
It makes me angry when I hear a phone ring. But I know the thing is, well, how do you know when people are calling you? I know when my phone's ringing.
Yeah.
It's connected to my watch. I feel it. I'm like, okay. But I also am in a lot of situations where I'm in a lot of meetings.
Yeah.
And I can't always answer.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean I don't want to talk to people, but I'm just going to, let me just be honest for a minute. There are certain people that I love. I like them.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
They're awful to talk to on the phone because they don't understand cues of, all right, well, I got to go. Well, hold on. I want to tell you something. I'm like, there are certain people that I like them just fine. Even if I'm in a situation where I can answer in that moment, because I know that these people never call me with anything significant. If it's significant, they'll shoot me a text.
Yeah.
I don't ever answer their phone calls.
Oh, if there's more than...
Now, if they send a text 911 or they send me a text, hey, I've got a problem, I'm on it. There's a few people, there's like 3, and they're all the exact same kind of situations. They just want to talk.
Now you prefer to receive texts, like as opposed to calls. But how about giving? Do you prefer to call?
No, because if I call, I'm going to get stuck on the phone.
But I'm saying, like, what about family? Is family a different exception?
Absolutely not.
Nope. Same to everybody. I got you.
I'm a texter. Now, my closest friends, my inner circle of friends, they're solid, strong people.
Yeah.
But they're all funny too.
Yeah.
Most of my friends are pretty funny. If they text me something that is so stinking funny.
Yeah.
Or if I've got a story that I'm like, they're not going to believe this. This is the funniest thing. I love to hear them laugh. I love to laugh with them.
Yes.
That's a call moment for me.
You call and just laugh in their ear.
Yes. Or if there's something that's like, this is too much to text.
Yeah.
I'll call. But then I've been known to call, tell it, and then say, all right, I'll talk to you later. And then just jump right back into a text conversation with them.
What about driving?
What about driving? You got voice text.
I know. Do you use that or do you call?
It depends on who we're talking about.
I mean, same rules.
Same rules, same people.
Context. Okay, gotcha.
Like, seriously, I've got my closest friends, and they know this because I've told them. They know I'm driving. I'm talking to you. There's people that I'm not for talking on the phone with.
My worst thing I hate is driving and talking through your phone through your vehicle system to somebody else that's also talking to their vehicle's voice system, car system. And
how can you tell?
The air around the delay, and it's like too airy and by the time you say something, somebody's saying, huh, by the end of your sentence, you're like, wait, I'm not finished. And they're like, what did you say before? And you're like, and they're like, and finally I just end up taking it off of the system.
Oh, gotcha.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Get
Do
rid
I
of
do that? Is that what you're talking about me?
No.
You're one of the few people I'll talk to on the phone.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to force you to call me.
Yeah, because you say something funny and I'm like, what the heck's going on?
Yeah. You're like, what are you talking about? No, I will text. No, I will definitely text no matter what, except for my mom's the only exception. I don't care. If I'm calling 911, I wish they had a text like, hey, 911.
They do. You can text 911.
Okay, good.
But most of the time, people who need 911 aren't laying there on their bed texting.
No, I'm like, oh, no. No. I saw my neighbor accidentally shot a firecracker and blow his big toe off. I wish I could just text that instead of having to call. And
well, yeah, because then they have all these questions. Can you stay on the phone? No, I've told you everything you need to know. Leave me out of it.
Yeah, I didn't say I had kidnappers in my house. I said my neighbor's an idiot. Like,
robber.
Just send them out here.
Yeah. Okay. So there's also certain voices are real hard for me.
Yeah.
Real high pitched, like nasally.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I have the greatest voice, but like there's certain, like that Minnie Mouse sound voice.
Yeah.
Text me.
Yeah.
Please. For the love of all things.
Yeah.
Text
if you're
me.
one of those people that has no agenda when you call and there's at least 3 seconds of dead air, I'm like, well, gotta go.
Yeah.
See ya.
Well, that or you need your hearing checked because you yell all the time.
Yes.
Please don't.
No. Yeah.
Please don't.
People that say, huh, before your sentence is over. That bugs me too. Yeah. If I'm like, well, yesterday I was going to the, huh? What do you mean, huh? I'm not done with my sentence. Stay tuned to the end of my sentence to find out. Like, well, I'm halfway through it. What do you mean, huh?
Yeah. So I feel like this is a conversation that
Get out of here.
Could make a person think really like, wow, you're a jerk. But
oh, no,
I know that
these are just our opinions. That's it. That's what the extra shot is.
It's beautiful.
You may have a different opinion. Doesn't matter.
Well, my opinion still, I'm not answering your phone call. But I do. There is this one person in particular. Love this person.
Mm-mm.
Hope they make it to heaven. I'll send them a Christmas card.
See you there.
But I can't do the phone calls.
Yeah.
With this person at all. And they used to be so frequent. I think that this person caught on.
Uh-oh.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh. We don't live in the same area, so that's cool. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't have to fear like hey, how come I called you 3 times today and you didn't answer? I'm like, oh, hey, there you are,
Oh, maybe because I have my phone for my convenience, not yours. Yeah, jerk.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Another t-shirt.
Yeah. My phone is for my convenience.
Yeah.
You pay my cell phone bill? Like, it's for my convenience.
Well, I had something I wanted to tell you, but was it something I wanted to hear? So, okay. What is appropriate to text and what's appropriate? How about this? What is inappropriate to text?
I would say,
I'm having a baby, it's yours. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Or it's
Still
over.
be like, you're not having any more kids.
It's over.
Okay, let's talk about that. Seriously.
Yeah.
Breakups. Unless you're in 7th grade.
There's a generational gap here because I feel like anyone, not between me and you, but I feel like you and I would never do that.
Raise your kids to not do that. Listen, if you're mature enough to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
And if your relationship is because you're like, it's like a Fortnite relationship and you're like, we play video games on, whatever.
Oh, I thought you meant Fortnite like it only lasts 2 weeks.
No.
14 days.
No, like you're in like an online relationship, which is weird. Yeah. Then you can break up online.
You just message them through the Fortnite message board.
We can't be friends.
We can't be friends. You stole the shotgun from me.
I don't even know how that game works, but
I know there's a shotgun.
Okay. But if that is the lowest, most immature, like cowardly thing. You don't break up over text.
If you're over 12 years, first of all,
you should be in a relationship if you're 12 years old.
First of all,
you're playing outside.
Outside of relationships, when can a kid have a phone? I don't have kids, so I don't know.
I'm gonna unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
I think that unless you have a kid that's away from you all the time.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that.
There's no reason for them to be like, I say,
16.
Let's fight for kids to stay kids as long as possible.
Yes. But I mean, I know some parents that'll get like their kids a flip phone. Can't download pictures.
I don't know any kids that have flip phones. I know a ton of kids that have iPhones.
Yeah.
Because it's cool. You know what else? Like, so your kid comes home and says, hey, all my friends are smoking crack, Mom. Why can't I? Like, be okay of being a parent to say no.
Yeah.
Be okay with that.
Right. Then you're like the old adage, if
I'm
your
not
kids jumped off a bridge,
I'm not a queen.
Would you jump off too?
Yeah. I'm not a queen fan of Joanna Gaines. Like, nothing against her, but like, it's just not my thing.
I don't know who that is.
Chip and Joanna Gaines, the Magnolia Market, the silos in Waco.
Oh.
The people that do the Fixer Upper or whatever.
Oh, like is it like
HGTV
stuff?
Okay. So they're like,
I think I know.
They have like this cult following of like, she was the one that brought in Shiplap. Let's make your new house look old and it's going to be worth a lot more money.
Named after her husband?
Yeah, that's right. That's Chip's lap. Okay.
Chip's lap.
Okay.
She brought in Chip's lap. Well, stay away from us, girly.
Well, the one thing I do really respect is their kids aren't allowed to have social media and be on cell phones. And they're this famous family or whatever.
Oh.
Or I just think that's cool.
Yeah.
I respect that, I think that there's got to be some kind of a psychological proof of that, or like proof about the psychological instability of kids that are always on social media.
Yeah.
Like what's up? Like when we were kids, when I was a kid, there was no social media. Like we talked on phones that had cords that could walk around your house. Then we had the cordless phones. But the reality is, like, if there was a party we didn't get invited to, we didn't know about it till we went back to school.
Yeah.
And if something went down during the week, by the next week, something happened on the weekend, you heard about it, and then you had a shut off. You weren't
too much
constantly in everybody. Like, so I think if parents ask me, which they don't, because they don't really, most parents who ask that question don't really want the answer.
Right. And, you think of when we grew up, pre-cell phone. I mean, they were starting to, maybe, I don't know, but like, it was like bag phones and cars, but like, you thought,
and you're a few years younger than me. So by the time you probably had there were cell phones around in your high school when you were in high school.
Maybe at the very end of my high school, I had a Nokia, the one brick, you could play Snake on it, and that was it.
Snake.
Yeah. And each text cost.
Underrated, man.
And it had to be under like 2 gig or 2.
You had to, do you remember when cell phones were all calls and after 7? People didn't text back then. It was all calls.
And if you called California, it was international. Or not international, it was long distance still, like on cell phone.
It still should be.
Yeah.
California. Just kidding.
It is like it should be international because it's like a different world.
Yeah.
Interplanetary calls to California. But no, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, with kids, like that cell phone, if something happened over the summer, you had to wait till school started in the fall to know about what happened. You know what I mean? Like you didn't have a lot of like, unless you spent time talking to your one friend, like, but if that friend.
No, we would sit on the phone and talk all day.
Like, if that friend didn't know this friend who knew this friend that happened to that friend, like stuff that happened to people, you didn't find out for a whole summer. You know what I mean? So it's not like now where it's like you said, somebody gets in trouble at church camp or whatever, and then the whole school knows by the time your bus drive back to the house,
Right.
It's crazy.
In trouble at church camp. Did you know that when I was in like...
That's the only place I've ever gotten in trouble, so I had to say it.
Dude, I got a lot of trouble at church camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just with shenanigans, nothing bad. Like
okay, not me. I got in trouble with bad stuff.
Ew.
I was that kid.
Okay.
They...
Story time.
No, it's not. Okay. What are some other things that are not appropriate to text?
Can we move this into the work world for a second and say, like, what about this could have been email people that are like, I want to have a meeting or a Zoom call.
I hate meetings.
Yeah. And this could have been an email. So
hate
are you
meetings.
one of those people?
People who want to meet to plan meetings, they belong in Russia.
They belong in Russia.
No, for real. Like, I think 99.9% of things could be meetings, or it could be emails. And that was proven during COVID when everybody started working from home.
Yeah.
They started realizing we waste a ton of money and a ton of time talking about stuff we could actually just be doing.
Yep.
I am now there's a difference between a meeting and a brainstorming session when there's creativity involved.
Yes.
And everybody has.
You're trying to come up with ideas.
And people, now I don't want any part of that if we don't get to all have a seat at the table.
Yes.
Like I know people that will call meetings and they really don't care what you have to say. They want you to hear them talk.
Oh gosh, I hate that.
Cut my ears off. And
and send them to King Arthur's court where it's a round table and everybody gets a seat. And Excalibur's in the middle.
Yes, I'm not for that. I'm not for being on teams where you don't have a voice. Like, there's some people that are all about titles. They're like, well, this is my title. I'm like, your title carries no power.
Can we talk about that for a second too? Like how titles have gotten more and more ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Like even with I don't think there's anything wrong.
Assistant to the regional manager.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, Dwight.
Thank you, Dwight. You goofball. But I'm saying like even with and I think a janitor is a great profession too, or a trash man, but like calling them recycling engineers or something. I'm like, what is that? Like, well, I just drive around the truck and pick up your trash. Oh, okay. That's an important job. I respect it.
I'm so thankful for that.
I'm sorry your bosses created more confusion around what you do. You know what I mean? Or something like, it'll be like, I'm the district regional sales VP of blah, 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 PepsiCo. Like, what? And it's like, what do you do? And you're like, oh, I just talk to businesses and sell them Pepsi.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, cool.
What the heck? I didn't know I needed a coder ring to look at LinkedIn. The hire people. Oh, my Lord.
Yeah. So there's, I've always been in church world, right? Yeah. That's been my job since forever.
Yeah.
It's not any different there.
No, it's not.
And it actually can be kind of worse because where in corporate America, that corporate ladder is based off of skill, education, and ability, and your tenure, right?
Yeah.
In oftentimes, not always, a lot of times you've got some churches that play well. But people believe, it's not even the church's fault necessarily, but people believe based off their title, it's their understanding and importance in the kingdom of God.
What's the most ridiculous church title you've seen?
Dude, I'm going to get myself in trouble if I
No, I just a title. I didn't even have to. No, I didn't mean where you work. I meant out in the world.
Most ridiculous church title?
Yeah.
I think can I just be honest?
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Like, there's a church that I have mad respect for, and it's obvious who the lead pastor is.
Joel Osteen, go on.
Stop with your Osteen stuff. It's obvious who the
John Hagee. Go on.
Oh, my Lanta. I'm going to have to quit doing podcasts.
I'm just thinking of all the Texas preachers that I know. I'm just throwing them out.
Why are those the two? Texas is a huge state. There's so many more.
My dad watched John Hagee up until the month that he died. I mean, he was watching John Hagee. So that's the only ones I know.
But was John Hagee watching your dad?
That's in the spirit, question. Probably.
In spirit, yeah.
He's got really thick glasses.
This church, like this one church I'm thinking of, their entire staff is just the staff. And it's so
just
cool.
Says the staff, that's it?
No, but they're just like, it'd be Charles. You know what I'm saying? Like
Charles what? Associate?
It would just be call you Charles.
Oh, okay.
What? Hey, Charles. Yeah, I'm on staff at the church. What can I help you? What do you do? Well, what do you need help with?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's how it would be. You'd go to this church and you're like, hey, do you work here? Yeah. Hi, I'm Charles.
Yeah.
Cool. Charles, what do you do? Well, I'm here to help you. What do you need help with? Well, I've got a kid and I'm wanting to get him checked into the kids ministry. And I've got some questions about the kids ministry. You know what? Let me introduce you to some people that work with kids. But all of a sudden it doesn't make your role or their role more important.
Yeah.
And I just think that's cool. Now I am one,
so what is the title question? You haven't answered the title. What's the most ridiculous?
I'm getting to that.
Oh, okay.
My hang up is when people have a title and they think that makes them more important and then they don't do anything.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Like the bigger the title, the less they think the more responsibility, but the less work they do.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I have no desire no, I would be so cool if I didn't ever have to have a title and I got to just do what I'm supposed to do. I don't want to be in charge because then that means I have to be like back in the day when, and this was so funny. When I was on staff at New Life in Arkansas and they were really like started putting coffee shops and stuff in and it was all about raising money for missions. Brilliant. Loved it. Loved it.
And our friend Adam made the same Hebrews joke every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
Like clockwork.
Okay. But I remember that when they were trying to figure out who needed to have keys to doing stuff in the coffee shop because they asked me one day, Amber, do you want keys? I was like, absolutely not. No. And it was funny because I don't even know if our senior pastor even remember this and it doesn't even matter. Yeah. But he goes, why not? I said, because then I'm going to be responsible. Yes. And somebody's going to say, hey, Amber has keys. Amber can do it. Go get Amber. Let Amber help you. Something breaks. I don't want that on me.
Yeah.
Some espresso machine explodes. Like, I don't want that on me. Somebody wants coffee at 3 in the morning.
Which is a real problem with espresso machines.
They just explode everywhere. Somebody wants coffee at 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
There's a funeral. They want coffee served. Like, I'm like, I don't need to have keys to everything. I don't want the titles. I don't want people to go, oh, well, she's important because she's got 37 titles. I just want to be Amber.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so maybe I see things a little different.
Yeah.
But the title thing, there's a lot of weird, when they have extra things like senior executive or assistant to a senior executive,
or like senior associate. I'm like, how can you be a senior and associate?
Or assistant director, senior associate director, senior executive assistant. It's like, what does all that mean?
Yeah.
She makes the copies for him.
Yeah.
That's it. That's cool. That doesn't say she makes the copies.
Yeah. No, yeah. The problem
she
is not
knew what she was getting into. What do you do? I make copies. So why are you pretending like you don't?
The problem was not with the person. It's with the title maker. Like the title, like whoever comes up with these.
Except for when the person all of a sudden thinks that title gives them power.
Oh, yeah. My best friend, God bless him. He didn't pick out the title, but it was like senior something equipping pastor. And I was like, what does equipping pastor mean? He's like, well, we equip people to go out and spread the gospel.
It's a missions pastor?
No.
Evangelistic pastor. Equipping pastor? When you think of I think of equipment manager. I think about the person that gets the volleyballs during PE.
It's just water boy is basically what it is. And like equip people, and he does an equipping class for spreading the gospel. So
what is an equipping class? Do they exercise? That's
what I'm saying. It is.
Do they stretch?
Literally just.
Do they touch their toes?
Some of them.
Do they wear leg warmers? I need to know. Leg warmers.
I'm guaranteeing some don't touch their toes. Some can't see their toes.
Oh, I get it. Okay. Equipping pastor.
So I'm saying there's just like some I'm just like, isn't every pastor equipping us for the go with the gospel?
Not at this church, we don't. Not at this.
But I'm saying isn't that the goal of every pastor at a church?
Right.
Biblically.
Yes.
Equip
so
us. So I'm just like,
I won't say where and I won't say what state or the name of the church, but I was speaking at a church, like a youth conference, and there were a bunch of youth, like a bunch of churches there, but there were 3 main churches. Yeah. And 2 of the churches, they had youth pastors.
Yeah.
The other church had, what was it called? It was a revolution director. It was like real weird. It was like, I'm trying to think how he said it. It was, I'm the
revolution director.
Yeah. Like
somebody loved Hamilton. I was just like, how can I incorporate this?
It was something real weird like that. It was like, what was it? It was like, revolution director. It was weird enough that I was like, what is that? And he goes, my job is to disciple and lead the revolution. And all I could think about was Kirk Franklin. And I'm like,
whoop, whoop.
Yeah. Do you want a revolution?
Whoop,
and
whoop.
I was just like, and I don't have a very good poker face.
Yeah.
And so I said, are you serious? And he was like, I would expect you to understand. I was like, good, because I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on here. So it was just
he definitely watched Hamilton.
I don't think he picked it, but I think he embraced it.
Oh yeah.
Like it was, but everybody in their church There was nothing like, this is the children's pastor. This is the scene, this is our head pastor. And these are the people that serve here at the church. It was like all these weird titles that there's no way, if somebody who's been in church culture for all their life didn't understand, how in the world would somebody who's coming in brand new go, what the heck is that? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Before he says Revolution pastor. And you were like, did you say Revelations pastor? And we're like, no, that's that guy. And he's just standing over there. There's fire behind him. Revelations.
And it was like, I think it was Revolution. It was something so bizarre. And I looked at the other two guys and they just both had this look on their face like, we didn't ask, but we want you to, because this is the question we've been wanting to ask, but we know it's not appropriate. And you look like the kind of girl that doesn't think before you speak.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm your person. Here we go. And I asked and he wasn't real hip on me after that. But I just hope that all these years later, he's like, that was pretty weird. I'm
going to start making up titles for church while I'm in church.
Let's do it right now. Why we went from phone calls to text to this, but I'm here for it. What most creative name for the creative department pastor? Go.
Oh, I don't know about that. I'm just going to make up things that I want to do, like to mess with people.
Okay, so like
that's
what?
A revolution. I said I would be a Revelations pastor. Like, I don't really kick in until the end times. Like I don't get paid yet. I'm just until crap,
I'm red shirting it.
That crap starts going sideways. That's
when I step in.
Just like steam coming off of me. Got the
Song of Solomon.
Song of Solomon pastor.
I do retreats for marriages.
Song of Solomon. Nice.
Yeah. What about
what else? Song of Solomon's book's called something else, right?
Song of Psalms.
Song
of Solomon.
Oh, okay. That was something more provocative. All right, go ahead.
The provocative book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
I'm our Song of Solomon's pastor. It could be like the singles group leader. Is that what
that's awful. I was going to say marriage. Like, here's the thing. I just think that we overcomplicate. Yeah. But if your title, like if that's your title, I guess this is my best answer. If that's your title, then do the work worthy of having that title.
Yeah.
Period.
Creative director, you could be, I'm the lead pastor of Vision Translations.
Vision Translations.
I'm the Vision Translation pastor. I take the head pastor's visions.
At every church that has online campus, it's like we're worldwide. I'm the international world pastor.
World
outreach pastor. World.
WAP. You're the what? The WAP?
No, you're not. No, you're not. I think I heard that song. No.
You just, or you have it to where your title is just the worldwide evangelist. And it's like, you mean WWE? And you're like, yeah. Dun, 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 dun. You have intro. I make intro songs for all the pastors.
They come out. I got 2 words for you.
Yeah.
Jesus saves.
Yeah.
No, that's awful. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
The titles are not, I get that here's the thing. I have friends that they're important to them, and that's fine. Yeah. That's fine. Okay, here's what's funny is when you meet a pastor on staff at another church.
Yeah.
In a public setting.
Yes.
Not in the church.
Mm-hmm.
And they introduce themselves with their name as Pastor so-and-so.
Yeah.
You're not my pastor. I'm not
from
calling
Arkansas,
you that.
So it's brother so-and-so.
Brother. Oh, but like there's a guy that's a pastor at another church. We were at a thing. It was a funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And after everybody left, and it was just several different church pastors that were there.
Yeah.
He comes up and introduces himself. I'm Pastor so-and-so. And I said, nice to meet you, first name. And he said, I'm not, you can't even make this up. He looked at me and goes, no, I said my name is Pastor so-and-so. And I said, did I not pronounce it right? And I thought he was joking. Like I wasn't being disrespectful. Like I was like, this is not real. This is what is wrong with you? Like what is wrong?
Theodosius wrong? No, the doctor part's what you left out.
So that's That's, it's important to some people.
Oh no, I've had that same situation, except I accidentally said Mr. instead of doctor. And I'm like,
dude, if I went to school long enough to have a doctor, you're going to call me doctor all the time.
Hey,
you just leave Amber off. Just call me doctor.
If it's medical school, sure. If you got a doctorate in clay making or theology,
I'm going to tell Hayden you just made a jab at her.
Yeah. Well, she's not a doctor yet. But if it's like
doctorate of pottery,
if it's like theology or something like that, like,
do you know how much work goes into that?
But you know what I'm saying? Like, calm down. It was an accident. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't mean to. Like, there's no need to correct me and chastise me in front of the stranger.
If you had your doctorate, would you have that coffee cup that says Mr. and have it marked out and say it's doctor now?
No, I didn't know that was a coffee cup.
Oh yeah, I see it all the time.
It was probably invented by a Dr. Claymaker.
Dr. Claymaker.
So, see what I mean?
Yes.
But I'm just saying, I know it takes a lot of work to get there, but like, does it take a lot of work to be humble? Maybe, I guess. Yeah.
Well, according to Kendrick Lamar, you're supposed to sit down and be humble.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I'm so tired of the Photoshop. Sorry, that's the last Kendrick Lamar will quote.
Let's go back to what we were originally talking about.
I forgot.
Phone calls or text messages.
Yes. You let me know I could text 911. That is what I learned today.
Okay.
That's amazing.
I will tell you this. This is what else you can learn.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's hysterical, do not leave me a voicemail. I'm probably not going to listen to it.
I'm going to sing on every
Always
voicemail.
Text me. If you call and I don't answer, and I don't want people to think that I don't answer calls. I do answer calls all the time. My phone rings 24/7.
It does. I've been here for 3 days.
It rings crazy all the time. But text me. I will text back. You leave a voicemail. It's like your mom, you asking your mom what you needed for 3 weeks later, I'm going to hit you back up.
Yeah.
If you call and I don't answer, just shoot me a text.
Yeah. Call me, beat me if you want to reach me.
That's right.
That's the second Kim Possible.
Kim Possible. We're bringing her back.
We are bringing her. Did she ever leave though? She's very
She's
popular.
always in our heart.
Yeah.
My kids were into Kim Possible when they were little.
Yeah. If I leave a voicemail, it's either singing or it's somebody I know that's not going to listen to it. So I'll say the alphabet or something. So the visual voicemail will just translate out and they'll think something's wrong and they'll have to listen to it. It's just me going A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then they're like, dadgummit, I listen to this.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Because then they'll think something's wrong. They're like, what the heck? Why is it saying the alphabet? This is jacked up. What did the original message say?
They've got the wrong mobile carry device. That must be with such and such. Yeah. So, okay. Well, obviously, but there are people that love to call.
There are.
Your mom.
Yep.
But when you're that age.
You grew up doing it.
Yeah. And you know what? In those situations, take advantage of that because, people aren't going to be here forever.
It's precious. I don't mind it at all.
I just wish I could have seen her peeking over at your friend and his curly hair on the iPad that's laying on her bed.
She has so many technology mishaps.
Oh, my grandma thought that Donald Trump was sending her messages.
Oh,
it was when he was still on Facebook.
And it was just.
And she followed him.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he would post something.
His campaign.
Yeah. He'd post something. She's like, well, Donald Trump told me. And I'm like, he did not tell you anything.
Oh. Have you ever seen that dang you autocorrect? I'm saying dang, but it's
yes.
Not. And it's like stuff. Like my mom has done most of the stuff on there.
The LOL.
Yep.
I remember I've told you that story several times.
Yeah. My mom's done that too.
I got that from you.
Yeah.
I've told your story.
Oh yeah. Yeah. She'll say like that's
LOL. She's like lots of love. And you're like, no, mom, that's laugh out loud.
Yeah. Jerry.
It was somebody in your family died.
Yeah.
And she was communicating to everybody that they had died. And then she was LOL in it.
Yeah. And like Jerry died. Jerry died. What? He died last night. LOL. What? Yeah. LOL. What? And I'm just like, I call her like, who are you? What is this?
Why are you laughing at Jerry's death?
Shirley told me it meant lots of love. I was like, no, it means laugh out loud. Who have you sent this to?
Everybody.
Like, yeah. And it's like on these autocorrect websites. I'm like, yes, that's real. I've seen it. It's like when you see your name somewhere. Like, you're like, yes,
that was us.
That was me.
Well, good talk.
Yeah, good talk and good extra shot.
Extra shot. Let's text. Just text me.
I'm going to call you when this is over from the other room.
So funny. Yeah.
2 phones
Can I use
for
your
me.
credit card? Pay for it. All right. Well, thanks for joining us for this extra shot. Charles, thanks for coming down to Texas.
It's nice down here. It's really nice.
It's the greatest state in America.
Well, second largest at least.
Yeah, that's great. Great. I think that Arkansas is a great place, though. You're
really
around
is.
good people. Good people there.
Yeah. It's 37th largest, so we're not there yet.
Hey, that's a t-shirt right there.
That's right in the middle. Almost.
Yeah. You know what? I have a lot of friends and family in Oklahoma, but their license plate says Oklahoma is okay.
Yeah.
I definitely think that 37th largest is cooler than Oklahoma is okay.
Yeah.
It's a better slogan.
That's way better. ChicT-shirts.com.
All right. You guys have an awesome one. We'll see you next time.